Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely, because there are moments in life that define you. There are events that shake your soul, that strip away your excuses, that remind you of who you really are. For thousands of people around the world, that moment is called Date with Destiny. Attending Date with Destiny isn't just about going to another seminar. It's about rewriting the story of your life. It's about no longer being limited by the patterns of your past, but instead stepping into the vision of the person you were born to be. Every human being has two primary needs, the need for certainty and the need for growth. But here's the truth. You don't get lasting fulfillment from certainty. You get it from growth, from contribution, from connecting to something greater than yourself. And at Date with Destiny, you discover that blueprint. You get the clarity to understand what's been driving you and the power to choose a new destiny. I've watched people walking broken, doubting, uncertain, walk out alive and on fire. Why? Because when you change your story, you change your life. At Date with Destiny, you don't just learn strategies, you experience transformation. You confront the lies you've told yourself, you face the fears you've buried. You awaken the giant that's been sleeping inside you all along. This is not about motivation for a day. This is about creating momentum for a lifetime. Imagine looking back a year from now, realizing that the moment you chose to attend Date with Destiny was the moment everything shifted. The moment you took control of your emotions, relationships, your purpose, your future. If you're ready to stop living by chance and start living by choice, if you're ready to design a life on your terms, then it's time. Your destiny is waiting and it's calling you to rise. Every single person on this planet is living according to invisible design, a set of values and beliefs that have been built over years of experiences, influences, and decisions. This design or blueprint shapes how you think, feel, and act, even if you are not aware of it. From childhood, the environment you grew up in, the words you heard repeatedly, the rules your family lived by, and the meanings you attached to your successes and failures all became part of the map you now follow. The challenge is that most people never question whether this blueprint truly serves them. They simply follow it unconsciously, repeating patterns that may lead to frustration, unhappiness, or a constant feeling of being stuck. When you attend Date with Destiny, one of the first breakthroughs you experience is becoming aware of this hidden design. Suddenly, you see the forces that have been directing your life without your permission. Maybe you've been driven by the need for certainty and security, and while that kept you safe, it also held you back from taking risks that could have changed your life. Or maybe you've been guided by a belief that you're not enough, and because of that, you've sabotaged opportunities and settled for less than you deserve. Awareness is the first step, because what you can see, you can change. You uncover the blueprint that has been silently controlling you. The next step is to ask, does this design reflect who I want to be, or is it simply a leftover from the past? This is the moment where real power is born, because you are no longer a prisoner of old conditioning. At Date with Destiny, you are given the tools to consciously choose new values, new beliefs, and new rules for your life. Imagine shifting from a value system that prioritizes comfort and safety to one that prioritizes growth and contribution. Suddenly, the choices you make change, the actions you take change, and the results you experience transform. This process is not about denying your past. It's about rewriting the meaning of your past so it becomes fuel instead of a chain. Every painful moment, every challenge, every limiting belief can be transformed into a source of strength when you redesign the blueprint with awareness and intention. You begin to see that you are not broken. You are not limited. You are not defined by old patterns. You are simply living by a design that no longer serves you, and you have the power to create a new one right now. When you step into this awareness, you begin to live differently. Decisions that once felt impossible become clear because you are no longer reacting unconsciously. Instead, are aligning your life with a blueprint that reflects your true purpose, your highest standards, and your deepest values. The moment you take ownership of your design, life stops happening to you and begins happening for you. That is the gift of understanding and reshaping your blueprint. It gives you the ability to direct your destiny instead of drifting through it. Emotions are the invisible force that determine the quality of your life. You can never you think you want success, wealth, recognition. But if your emotional state is dominated by fear, frustration, or doubt, you will never feel fulfilled. On the other hand, you can have very little in terms of material possessions. Yet if you live in a consistent state of joy, love, gratitude, and excitement, life feels abundant. This is why mastering your emotions is one of the most powerful breakthroughs at Date with Destiny. Most people believe their emotions are something that just happened to them, like the weather. They think, I feel sad because of what happened, or I'm angry because of what they did. But the truth is, emotions are patterns. They are created by the meaning we attach to events, by the physiology we adopt, and by the focus we choose. When you realize that emotions are not random storms, but patterns you can interrupt and change, you reclaim the power to shape your life. At Date with Destiny, people learn to break free from the habit of being run by negative emotions. For some, it's anger they can't control, which destroys relationships. For others, it's fear that paralyzes them from taking action. For many, it's a low-level frustration or anxiety that robs them of energy and joy every single day. The breakthrough comes when you learn that you can shift your emotional state in a moment. You can change your focus, alter your physiology, the meaning you've been given to a situation. The same event that once made you feel powerless can now become a moment of strength simply because you chose to create a different emotional pattern. This mastery doesn't mean you never feel negative emotions again. It means you no longer get stuck in them. You recognize the signal they are sending, and you use that signal to make a decision that moves you forward. For example, fear can be a signal that you need to prepare more, but it doesn't have to stop you. Anger can be a sign that one of your values has been violated, but it doesn't have to consume you. By mastering your emotions, from being controlled by them to using them as guides for growth, one of the most powerful realizations is that emotions are contagious. The state you live in doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. A parent who lives in fear unconsciously teaches their children to be afraid. Who lives in confidence inspires their team to believe. At Date with Destiny, you begin to see that mastering your emotions is not just about personal freedom, but about the influence you create in the lives of others. When you choose to live in love, passion, and gratitude, just transform your own life. You elevate everyone you touch. Emotional mastery also gives you resilience. Life will always bring challenges, setbacks, and unexpected changes. Without emotional strength, those challenges can break you. But when you've trained yourself to shift your state, you become unshackable. You handle setbacks with grace, you recover from failures faster, and you keep moving forward no matter what. Instead of living in fear of what might go wrong, you begin to trust yourself to handle anything, because you know how to generate the emotions that will empower you. This is the gift of Date with Destiny. You realize that you are not a victim of your emotions, you are their master. And when you learn to control the meaning you give to life, when you learn to manage your focus and your energy, you step into a state of lasting power. That power is what allows you to live fully, love deeply, the destiny you were meant to live. Every human being lives inside a story. This story is not written in books, but in the beliefs and words you repeat to yourself every single day. It is the narrative that explains who you are, what you're capable of, and what kind of future is possible for you. The truth is, most people's stories are not empowering. They are shaped by past failures, by other people's opinions, by pain that was never healed, and by the meanings attached to difficult experiences. The story might sound like, I'm not good enough, I'll never be successful, I don't deserve love. When you carry a story like this, every decision you make is filtered through it, limiting what you attempt and what you allow yourself to receive. At Date with Destiny, one of the most powerful breakthroughs is realizing that your story is not permanent. You can break free from the limiting narratives of the past and create a new identity that reflects your true strength and potential. The process begins with awareness. You must recognize the story you've been living by, the one that has been silently shaping your choices and actions. For many, this awareness is shocking because they realize how much of their suffering came not from circumstances, but from the meaning they attached to them. Two people can experience the same event, say, and one person's story becomes, I am unlovable, while another story becomes, this was the push I needed to find my true path. The event is the same, but the story creates two very different lives. When you see this truth, you understand that you are not bound by what happened to you, only by the story you attach to it. Rewriting your story requires courage because it means letting go of an identity you've carried, sometimes for decades. Even if it's painful, it can feel familiar and safe, and people cling to it because it's what they know. But at Date with Destiny, push to challenge that comfort zone. You are guided to create a new identity that is not based on fear or limitation, but on strength, resilience, and possibility. Instead of saying, I am broken because of my past, you begin to say, I am stronger because of what I've overcome. Instead of living as someone who never gets opportunities, you claim the identity of someone who creates opportunities. The shift may feel small at first, but it changes the trajectory of your entire life. This new story doesn't ignore your past, it transforms it. Things that once made you feel weak can become the fuel for your growth. Challenges that once defined you as a victim can now define you as a survivor, a leader, a creator. You realize that every struggle had a lesson, every setback had a gift, and everyone can become wisdom when you tell the story differently. Choose a new story is the moment you free yourself from being defined by anything that came before. Living with a new identity also changes your behavior naturally. When you believe you're strong, you act strong. When you believe you are capable, you take bold action. When you believe you are worthy of love, you attract and sustain healthy relationships. The external results of your life are simply a reflection of the internal story you've chosen to live by. That's why rewriting your personal story is not just about feeling better. It's about transforming the outcomes you experience every single day. The breakthrough at Date with Destiny is realizing that your story is not fixed. It is not written in stone. It is a choice you make in every moment. And when you choose a story that empowers you, that lifts you, that reminds you of your true strength, you step into an entirely new life. You stop being trapped by who you were and begin to live as who you were meant to be. Relationships are at the core of human experience. No matter how much success, wealth, or recognition someone achieves, if they are alone or disconnected, life feels empty. On the other hand, even the most difficult circumstances, if you are surrounded by love, connection, and trust, life feels rich and meaningful. The truth is, the quality of your life is directly connected to the quality of your relationships. Yet many people struggle in this area because they bring old ones, unmet expectations, and unspoken fears into their interactions. At Date with Destiny, one of the most profound shifts is learning how to transform the way you connect with others so that your relationships become a source of strength, passion, and fulfillment rather than conflict or disappointment. The first step in this transformation is awareness. Most people don't realize that the patterns destroying their relationships are not external but internal. A person who fears rejection may withdraw or become defensive, pushing others away even when what they crave most is closeness. Someone who feels unworthy of love may tolerate toxic behavior, settle for less than they deserve. At Date with Destiny, participants uncover the patterns they've been repeating in relationships, often for years without realizing it. The moment you see those patterns, you gain the power to change them. Another powerful realization is that love is not about what you get, but about what you give. Many relationships break down because one or both partners focus on their unmet needs instead of focusing on how they can meet the needs of the other. This creates a cycle of blame, disappointment, and distance. But when you shift the focus to giving, bringing energy, presence, love, and understanding, you change the dynamic instantly. And what you alter grows. Definitely, people learn how to shift from a transactional mindset in relationships to one of unconditional giving. And in doing so, they unlock deeper levels of intimacy and connection. Communication is another critical key. So many conflicts are not caused by malice, but by misunderstanding. People assume their partner or loved one knows what they feel, what they want, or what they fear, but when it's not expressed, it leads to resentment and disconnection. At Date with Destiny, participants learn to communicate openly and authentically, to express their needs and emotions in ways that foster connection rather than conflict. This is not just about romantic relationships. It applies to family, friendships, and professional interactions as well. When you learn to truly listen, to understand rather than simply respond, you build trust and respect that can withstand any challenge. Passion and intimacy also require intentional effort. Many couples allow routines and responsibilities to dull the spark in their relationship. At first, they were focused on giving, surprising, and delighting each other, but over time, they shift into taking the relationship for granted. The result is a slow erosion of passion, a date with destiny. People are reminded that love is a verb in action. To keep a relationship alive, you must constantly invest in it, nurture it, and bring energy to it. Passion is not lost, it is neglected, and with the right focus, it can be reignited at any stage of a relationship. The greatest breakthrough is realizing that your relationships reflect the state of your own inner world. If you're filled with fear, you will project fear onto others. If you are consumed with anger, you will create conflict. But if you cultivate love, gratitude, and joy within yourself, your relationships will naturally elevate. At Date with Destiny, people are not only given strategies for building extraordinary relationships, they are guided through experiences that help them embody the emotional states that make those relationships thrive. When you transform your relationships, you transform your life. Because at the end of the day, success without connection feels hollow, but when your relationships are filled with love, passion, and authenticity, every achievement becomes sweeter and every challenge becomes easier to bear. That is the power of building and transforming the quality of your relationships. It becomes the foundation for a life that is not just successful, but deeply fulfilling. Every human being is driven by an inner need to find meaning in life. You can achieve recognition, accumulate wealth, or enjoy temporary pleasures. Deeper sense of purpose, all of it eventual sense it feels empty. At Date with Destiny, one of the most profound discoveries people make is uncovering their ultimate purpose, the unique reason why they are here, the contribution they can make, and the legacy they are meant to leave behind. Purpose is what transforms success into fulfillment. It is what turns ordinary days into extraordinary ones, because you know that everything you do matters on a deeper level. The first step to discovering your purpose is realizing that it cannot be found outside of yourself. Many people chase after careers, possessions, or titles hoping they will finally feel complete, but purpose is not something the world gives you. It is something you uncover within. It comes from asking deeper questions. What makes me feel alive? What kind of impact do I want to have on others? What would my life look like if I was no longer afraid of failing? At Date with Destiny, participants are guided through experiences that peel back the layers of fear and conditioning to reveal what truly lights them up inside. Another key is understanding that purpose is bigger than yourself. While goals may focus on what you want to achieve or acquire, purpose focuses on how your life can serve others. It might be through raising a family, building a business that improves lives, creating art that inspires, or simply showing up every day with kindness and strength. Whatever form it takes, true purpose always involves contribution. When you connect to this truth, your energy changes. Because life is no longer just about survival or success, it's about significance. Once you uncover your purpose, alignment becomes essential. Many people feel stressed or conflicted not because they are incapable, but because their daily actions are out of alignment with their deeper values and purpose. At Date with Destiny, challenge to evaluate your choices, habits, and environment against the vision of the life you truly want to live. If your purpose is growth and contribution, but your current routine is filled with fear and comfort, the conflict will drain your energy. When you begin to align your decisions with your purpose, everything flows more naturally. Work feels less like work, relationships deepen, and even challenges become opportunities to live more fully. Purpose also provides resilience. Life will inevitably bring pain, setbacks, and uncertainty. Without purpose, those moments can feel crushing, as though they strip life of meaning. When you are anchored in a strong sense of why you're here, those same challenges become fuel. A setback becomes a lesson, a loss becomes a reminder of what truly matters, and even suffering can be transformed into service when you use it to help others. At Date with Destiny, many people discover that the very hardships they thought disqualified them from living fully are actually the experiences that gave them the wisdom and strength to fulfill their purpose. Living with purpose doesn't mean every day is easy, but it does mean every day is meaningful. It gives you a reason to rise in the morning with energy and passion. It turns obstacles into opportunities and transforms into stepping stones rather than finish lines. When you connect to your ultimate purpose, you stop drifting through life reacting to circumstances and start creating a life that feels intentional, powerful, and fulfilling. That is the gift of purpose. It fuels your spirit. It guides your decisions and it shapes a destiny worth living. A life without vision is a life lived by chance. Most people drift from one situation to another, reacting to circumstances, following routines, and settling for far less than they are capable of. Through A Date with Destiny is realizing that you are not here to drift, you are here to create. The way you create is by building a vision for your future so compelling, so exciting, that it pulls you forward no matter what challenges come your way. Vision is not just a vague idea or a dream you think about once in a while. Vision is a vivid picture of the life you want to live, the person you want to become, and the impact you want to have. It is specific, inspiring, and powerful enough to shape every decision you make. The first step in creating a compelling vision is giving yourself permission to dream again. Many people stop dreaming because life has beaten them down. They've faced failures, disappointments, or criticism, and they've convinced themselves it's safer to lower their expectations and aim high and risk falling short. But without vision, the soul withers. At Date with Destiny, you are reminded that the limitations of the past do not define the possibilities of the future. You are guided to reconnect with your deepest desires and to imagine a future without the boundaries of fear or doubt. Once you allow yourself to dream, clarity becomes crucial. A vision that is vague will not inspire action. It's not enough. What does happiness look like to you? What experiences would you be having? What kind of relationships would you be nurturing? How would you be growing, and what would you be contributing? The more vivid and detailed your vision, the more it becomes a magnet for your energy and focus. At Date with Destiny, participants are taught to design their vision in such detail that they can see it, hear it, and feel as if it already exists.
That emotional connection makes the vision real and gives it power. A compelling vision also creates alignment. Once you know where you're going, it becomes much easier to evaluate your choices. Every decision can be measured against your vision. Does this move me closer to the life I want, or does it pull me away? This clarity eliminates confusion and procrastination because you're no longer making random choices. You're following a map that leads to your destiny. Even sacrifices that once felt difficult now become natural because you see them as investments in the future you are creating. Another powerful element of vision is momentum. Life will always bring obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Without vision, those challenges can stop you in your tracks. But when your future is so compelling that it excites you, nothing can hold you down for long.
Your vision becomes the fuel that keeps you moving when circumstances are tough. It pulls you through the pain, the failures, and the uncertainty because you are no longer just living for today. You are living for the extraordinary future you've designed. Finally, vision is not only about what you want for yourself.
It's about the contribution you want to make. A vision that is purely self-focused will not sustain you for long. The deepest fulfillment comes from knowing that your life is part of something greater, that your actions make a difference beyond your own needs. At Date with Destiny,
participants are encouraged to build visions that include impact, visions that inspire not only themselves but also the people around them and even generations to come. When you create a vision this powerful, it changes the way you live each day. Your actions gain meaning, your energy increases. Confidence grows because you know exactly where you are heading. You stop drifting and start creating. That is the gift of vision. It transforms the unknown future into an inspiring destination, and it turns your destiny into something you can shape with passion and purpose. So as you walk away from this journey, remember this: your destiny isn't written in stone. It's written by the choices you make today. Attending Date with Destiny isn't just about learning strategies. It's about awakening the part of you that refuses to settle, that demands to grow, and that knows you were made for more. Take what you've discovered, live it every single day. Let it shape not just your future, but the lives of everyone you touch. Your destiny is waiting. The only question is, will you rise to meet it?